second, crew. Let me get organised. And I wasn't running late this morning. It was great. I had plenty of time. Come on, YouTube, you can do it. We have a delay on the YouTube. Oh, come on. Thank you. Right, that's what we want. Turn the volume down. Perfect. In fact, hang on a second. I need to just prop your laptop up. Much better. So, who have we got? We've got loads of people in the shop today. Dum, 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 dum. Simon Roll, repetitive lathe work. Boo, I know. I've got enough material to make, I think it's 72 bobbins. I got them all cut off yesterday. Which didn't take too long actually. I came up with a neat little way of sort of approximately measuring by G-clamping a bit of angle iron to the tool post. It didn't sound very good, but it was very quick, which was nice. Igor Dubrovskis, not cool. What's not cool? Oh, lots of lathe work, I suppose. Well, it has to be done. I don't have a choice. Kill switch, evening Andy and gang, hope you are all well. Yes, survive. Oh, hang on. I think my pie's arrived. Ooh, look at that. Steak and cheese. Not just steak and cheese, gourmet steak and cheese. And Simon, thank you very much for your image this morning of your Wild Bean Cafe coffee. Appreciated that when I woke up at 5 o'clock this morning it was. Alan Cook, hi, good morning Alan. Simply Diagnostics, Steve is in the workshop. Evening everyone, big thumbs up as always. Kill switch. Shall we bet if Andy has a pie this week or toast? Oh, I spoiled that bet, didn't I? Oh, there we go. Look, Steve, pie. Correct. Simon, pie. Kill switch, pie on toast. Funny. I'm sure it's been done. Steve, pie balm. What? Pie balm with peas and gravy for the win. I must admit, pie with gravy is good. Wigan kebab, says Simon. Mike Wazanski, good morning all. Glad no tsunami. Correct. No tsunami. No big waves coming for New Zealand. So great little segue actually. I've got it on my little list of things to talk about. As you well know, I was on the road all week. It didn't get cancelled. Despite Auckland went into level 3 at 6 a.m. Sunday morning. So just before the live stream last week. So fortunately I wasn't in Auckland, as you well know. I was down at home. So it didn't really affect me. The off-road event that I was planning to attend on the Sunday, again, as you know, I didn't attend. The rest of rest of New Zealand was in level 2, which clearly states no more than 100 people at any kind of gatherings. During the week, more information filtered through. The event did go ahead and there were 700 people there. So the organisers announced that they'd put things in place to make it work, I think was the phrase they used. But 700 people, it's an event. It shouldn't have gone ahead. Quite worrying, in fact, because those people travelled from all over New Zealand to do that event. Now, sure, you know, they went to a lot of time and trouble and effort to get there, and it was all very last minute. They would have been cancelled, so it would have been rather a disappointment and a lot of waste of time. But bottom line is, shouldn't have gone ahead. And I'm very pleased that I didn't attend. I was also going to be there with one of my work colleagues, James, and of course he couldn't be there either. Now, Connor K, hi everyone. Ready for talk of tools and machines? Yes, absolutely, Connor. Hey, Connor, have you tracked your parcel recently? I haven't at this end, so an update of where it might be in the world would be great. Almarine Velocity. Hey, Andy, just thought I wonder when eStream's going to come on. What? What's an eStream? Or is that a typo? Or has it lost some letters? The live stream's going to come on. 8:30 a.m. Sunday morning. That's when it starts, if I'm on time. Bob Kinney. Greetings, Andy and gang. Good morning, Bob. Brian Moore. Hi, Andy. I'm on board. Excellent stuff. That's what we like. So many comments. Right. Steve. Morning, Andy. Just filled my Guinness glass. See, it's all right for you guys. You can have a pint when I'm doing my live stream. It is way too early for me to have any alcohol. I'd never get anything done. And especially using a lathe all day, getting these things done. I'll probably lose a finger or two, knowing me. Bob Kinney, fantastic news. My bike build is almost complete. Oh, don't rub it in, Bob. I've still got loads of work to do on that CB750 at the moment. But it's jobs like this that keep coming in that just eat up the small amount of time that I have at home, unfortunately. The One Civil Man. Hey, Andy. Good morning, The One Civil Man. Simon Rawls. Sorry, Andy. Did not mean to wake you, but it was a damn good coffee. Actually, you didn't wake me up. I just woke up and I saw the little green flashing light on my phone. And I thought, I wonder who that could be. So, you know. Alan Cook. How's Holley? Holley is doing just fine. I believe she continued to work during level 3 from memory. She did mention something on a message. But no, she's all right. She's okay. And hopefully, depending on parts and a few other bits and pieces that I'm trying to plan in the background, she should be in the workshop in the near future. There's no point in her coming down at the moment because there's no parts or very few parts to go on her bike. And that weekend has to be finish the DR200 weekend. We can't afford for it to drag on for another few months. Need to get it done so we can crack on. Almarine Velocity, typo, fair enough. The streams, always 8:30 a.m. Sunday morning, New Zealand time. Alan Cook, it's my birthday today. Well, Alan Cook, happy birthday to you, mate. I'm not going to sing happy birthday because I'm not really a very good singer. I've been told whenever I try and sing, just to shut up. So I'm not even going to try. It's not going to happen. I'm not a singer. Yeah, tone deaf is the word, and often forget the words. I mean, obviously, I know the words to happy birthday, pretty much. But, you know, the rest of it, no chance. Jim K, thank you very much for the email, Jim. I have watched the video. Yeah, interesting. Hey, interesting. Had a little look, and not the only one, but only a handful. Is that saying too much? It's not, is it? No, because nobody else knows what I'm talking about, which is fine. The One Silverman, I'm so sorry about being late to the editing. It's exporting as I type. Seriously? Oh, mate, I'm looking forward to seeing that. Thank you very much. Very excited. The One Silverman is currently... well, he asked if he could edit up one of my videos for me, and that's... I suppose it is one of the reasons why there hasn't been a video, a proper video, not live stream, video hit the channel for the last few weeks. It's not the only reason, but it is one of the reasons, and it's no problem. It's no problem at all. The channel doesn't need videos on a regular basis. We've proved that. But he offered to edit up a video, and I was like, well, it's quite a responsibility, but nothing to lose, really, because if I'm not happy with it, then I don't have to use it, to be honest. But very, very grateful. Editing takes a lot of time, and the more time... Connor, the phone has just told me, Connor, it's your birthday. Is that right? So we've got 2 birthdays today. Wow. We're all getting older. But, if I can, the more time I spend editing, the less time I have available to make videos. And, of course, with all these other projects coming in and jobs coming in, making the videos is very difficult. Although I do try to give it priority, it's always a juggling act. People are always pulling me in different directions, unfortunately. So very excited to see what this young lad has come up with. I think editing is the style of editing, everybody's different in the way they do things. So, maybe he's trying to copy my style, or maybe he's done something completely radical to shake the channel up a little bit, which is maybe what it needs. Anyway, so we'll wait and see. Look forward to getting the link. Connor. Oh, here we go. The box arrived in Lisbon Monday, March the 1st. and was sent to PT Customs. Oh, here we go. Received a letter from Customs this past Friday. Need to find out what they want and what I need to do. I'll keep you posted. Oh, I always hate it when Customs get involved. All right, Connor, keep me informed, okay? Pretty sure there'll be nothing in that box that's going to be, contraband or anything like that. Chances are they're probably going to want some kind of payment, which is most worrying, to be honest, because all we ever do is seem to shell out all the time, don't we? One said, man, it's a bit hard to edit while I'm doing schoolwork and transitioning into high school. It is, you see, editing takes a long time to do, especially when you're doing the first video for somebody else, where you've got to use all their logos and graphics and bits and pieces. It takes a long time, and that's why I said to you, take your time. It's not a problem. It's not a problem at all. We'll make it work. Simon Raw, happy birthday, Connor. Killswitch BB, happy birthday, Alan. Connor K, yes, I survived one more orbit around the sun. I'm happy to say. That's pretty much how I think about it as well. Survived another year. It's brilliant. Steve, happy birthday, Connor. Alan Cook, happy birthday, Connor. Killswitch BB, drinks on Connor, everyone. Lol. Yes, that will be fantastic, won't it? All in the workshop, having a pint. So, I've caught up with the comments. It's not like me, is it? Right, pie time, because it's going to get cold otherwise. Look at that, steaming as well. Now it's been microwave warmed up, so it's a little bit soggy. When you get them, oh God, it's like a pie connoisseur. When you get them from the petrol station, plug Wild Bean Cafe, at the BP places, they're in like a giant pie warmer thing, and they're a lot more stable. This one's a little bit, it could explode. It's not as bad as some of the ones that I've had, but you can see at the bottom there, like you see that little sort of dark ring. That's always a sign that the pastry is a bit soggy. Right. The One Silverman. Is it best to check oil when the engine is warm or cold? Well, you should really warm the engine up. And then you do need to allow it to settle, for the oil to run back down the galleries, and for the sump level to stabilize. The thing to bear in mind, if you check the engine oil cold, it doesn't want to be at maximum, and that's exactly the same for your coolant expansion tank as well, because due to thermal expansion, the volume of that fluid, whether it's oil or coolant, will increase. And as a result, the level on the dipstick, if it's oil, will rise. So when the engine's at full operating temperature, it should be at maximum, ideally. But when it cools down, you'll see that it will drop a little bit. So when I'm doing a service, the engine's not at maximum temperature, then I usually fill it up to about 2/3 of the dipstick. And that's a good sort of ballpark. But I suppose it does depend a little bit from vehicle to vehicle, doesn't it? So hopefully that's answered your question, but you do need to warm them up a little bit, I mean, at the end of the day, in fact, there's a video on the channel of how to check your engine oil that I did years ago. You'll find a younger Andy there. Bob Kinney, happy birthday, Connor. Alan Cook, when warm, correct. Sunday Diagnostics, nuclear pies was still better than no pies. Exactly. It's very nice. Connor K, drinks on Connor. Well, if Holley is serving them, for sure. I remember ages ago, I think it was even before lockdown last year, I had it all planned for Barber John to come down to the workshop for the day. I was going to do a service on his bike, and he was going to cut my hair, being a barber. Anyway, we had it all organised for Holley to come down that day, and she was going to serve drinks for us during my haircut, and it would have been absolutely brilliant. I was very much looking forward to it, and it might still happen at some point in the future. Don't know, but I thought it was a good idea. You know, we can only dream, can't we? You know, serving whiskies whilst having your hair cut. We'd have probably ended up by the end of it being completely rat-assed, and I probably would have needed to shave my head completely because John would have made a horrendous, you know, mess of what little hair I've got left. Mike Adams, hi all. Sorry I'm late. Doesn't matter. Just finished washing 9 very dirty roll-off dumpster trucks. Geez, that will not be a 5-minute job. Kill switch, Andy, make this happen, lol. I will. I keep pushing. John just needs to get himself down here and give me a date that he's going to be here, and I can make it work. Steve, if Holley is serving, I'm on the next flight out to New Zealand. Well, if that's the case, Steve, and you're most welcome here, matey, just plan to be like maybe 3 weeks ahead, so you've got 2 weeks in quarantine when you get here, and then maybe another week just to sort of climatize before we do any kind of filming or whatever. The one Stillman, thanks, Andy. Also, do you know any places to get cheap oil filters? Well, if you're going to buy a cheap oil filter, it's probably not a very good oil filter. Realistically, I always try to use wherever I can genuine. There's a big difference between cheap oil filters and genuine oil filters. So I don't really know where you could buy a cheap oil filter because I don't buy cheap oil filters. Mike, I'm sure if you go onto something like Amazon or somewhere, you'll be able to get them for like $1 each. But it might look like an oil filter, but it probably doesn't do a very good job. Mike Adams, happy birthday, Connor. Thank you, Mike. Chris Brown, hey, I know your channel specializes with bikes, but I was wondering if you knew of a bike which would be light enough to mount on the back of a Jeep JK, but powerful enough to cruise at 40-50 mile an hour. Well, a Jeep JK, that will probably, has it got now, first of all, does it have a receiver type tow bar on the back? Because, you know, if you're going to mount, I believe obviously it's a motorcycle, so if you're going to mount a motorcycle on the back of your vehicle, your car or your ute or your whatever it is, then a receiver type tow bar is the best way to do it, because you can take out the tow ball bit of box section and you can put something else in. I did make one years ago to go on the back of my Holden Commodore, and on that I had my WR450F hanging off the back of the car, and I did, I don't know, 4,000 kilometers of that bike on the back. Wasn't a problem. It did it just fine. So I think regardless of what bike you choose, you're probably going to need that receiver hitch mount type bike rack, and there's lots of them on the market, and they're all rated for something, you know, up to a reasonable weight. I think the WR is about 120 odd kgs, 125 kgs. So you know, you shouldn't really have any problems as regards a bike that will cruise to that. Just about anything sort of, you know, well, even a 125cc bike will do 50 mile an hour, won't it? So you can pretty much choose whatever you want. Alan Cook, is your spanner in the box? Alan, the spanner is in the office. However, Ben messaged me last week, and this week actually, while I was at work, and they were throwing out a very nice glass, I think it was glass or maybe Perspex cabinet, like a little mini display cabinet. And he said, does anybody in the family want it? And nobody else wanted it. So I said, yes, I'll have that. I'll have it for my workshop, and then I can use it as a little mini display cabinet to put all the bits and pieces in that people send me, the viewers. So it's going to go in there, Alan, once I find a little home for the box here in the workshop. Bob Kinney, you can, but good quality filters on Amazon for good prices. Okay. I just like genuine. Once a month. So, do you know any Polaris dealers around Pukekohe? Mr. Motorcycles will be able to get you what you want. They're in Pukekohe. They service plenty of Polaris bikes there, so they might even have one on the shelf. Chris Brown. Cool. Yes, it has a hitch on the rear to fit a 2-inch. Okay, so first step really, Chris, is to find or research the various racks that you can get. Those racks will have a maximum weight. Now, the racks really are designed for dirt bikes. So they're probably only going to be rated up to maybe 130, 140 kgs, around that sort of mark. But there's plenty of road-going bikes, small capacity road-going bikes that will certainly be within that weight limit without any problems. You know, I mean, depends what kind of bike you want. If it's just as transport, then like a little XV250 if you want a cruiser, or little Yamaha Scorpio 225 4-stroke. They were, I don't think you can buy them new anymore, but they were good little commuter bikes. You know, GN 250, funny little bike, maybe not that reliable to start for starting if it's a Chinese one especially. But there's loads of little 4-stroke bikes for just for transport. Here we go. Hang on. Chris Brown, great. Thanks for the information. No problem. The One Superman. I also love how quickly you can grab your tools from your toolbox. Yes, that is very important. Ergonomics of a workshop is critical. Otherwise, you spend half your time wandering around. Simon, CRF 125, light and quite good all-round tool. And are those still made in Japan? I know some of the little Honda, especially the Honda farm bike, is Chinese now. Oh, you could get yourself well, if it's going to go on the road there, it wouldn't be road legal. Well, it's not road legal here anyway. Might be in England. Mike Adams, Andy, I'm curious. It's been decades since I've worked on a bike, on an old 70s model Honda 70. Very cool. Lights, etc. Worked on just a magneto. How are the batteries charged now? On motorcycles, you have a stator, which has basically current induced to it via the flywheel. That produces an AC current. Depending on the size of the bike, if it was a dirt bike, it's often just a single winding, so a single coil in the stator, which just has 2 wires. Most motorcycles have 3 windings. I think there's delta and star. There's 2 different ways they can wire them up. And there's different characteristics. The motorcycle one doesn't have the ground, which will be the, can't remember now, one of them. That then produces AC voltage on all 3 wires. And that then goes up to an external, what we call regulator rectifier unit. That then converts that AC into about 14.5 volts DC, and that then goes to charge up your battery. There is a video on the channel doing quite an in-depth inspection on the GN250 charging system, and that basically will explain to you how that charging system works. I think I even got the scope out on that one, and we actually looked at the 3 different phases, which was really cool. I enjoyed doing that, working out how to scope it. Okay, so hopefully, Mike Adams, that's helped you to get a rough idea. But do watch the video; it's actually pretty good. Once again, okay, thanks so much for the advice. Hey, no problem. Steve, got tired of my winter hair and beard, so the clippers came out today. That may have been a tad premature. No hair or beard is not good. Not a good move at 5 degrees C. Man, I used to do that in England. I used to grow a full beard, and I'd maybe only shave maybe once a month, or maybe once every 2 months, or once every 3 months. And I'd shave it all off completely. I'd lose about 10 years when I did it every time. But then you go outside in a frosty morning, and it's like, holy shit, freezing cold. So as you've guessed, I've just given up shaving. I just shear every now and again. That's about as good as it gets. Once about Mike Adams, same. I also wonder. Chris Brown, Simon Rolls, thanks for the suggestion. Appreciate it. Simon, Chris Brown, if you do put some on-off-road tyres on, yes. John Nuttall, good morning, John. Hi, Andy. Just sent some photos to you. Your help and the crews on how to get the barrel off now. I'm confused. Hang on. Bear with me, people. It must be an email. It must be an email that John sent. Bear with me. Pie is still warm. Good. There we go. Ooh. Ooh. Ooh, you got to see this. Oh, yes. That's, oh dear. I'm turning around, people. Look at that. What a mess. Holy crap. What the hell? Oh no. That's not good at all, is it? That's terrible. Holy shit. And I take it that's on your CB750 then. That's a mess. Wow. I'm coming back. There we go, look. Try and level the camera. Oh, who has spotted, and I'm sure you all have, who has spotted the new calendar girl? Because it's March. And yes, I had to get the red tape out, obviously. Thanks, Jared. Wow, that's terrible. I haven't seen an engine like that in that state for a long time. Right, hang on. The one about export is 47% done. Woohoo! Jim Haynes. Hey, Andy. Here, finally. I did send an email yesterday. You did. And I was surprised by a package when I got home. Thanks, Jim. Hey, no problem at all, matey. Absolutely fine. Always a pleasure to send stuff out. And, you know, obviously what you sent across to me, very much appreciated. And yes, I have been using the tools, not on a regular basis because they are a specialist, you know, long reach ratchet. But I have used them and they are very, very nice to use. And it's not a problem that they're not the brand that sponsors the channel at all. You know, I think Teng's got a very, very good presence in this workshop. And they never complain. Chris Brown. Simon, yeah, I was just reading about tyres for it. I'm new to bikes and I'm looking for something to use whilst travelling with my Jeep, and I think finding a street and quiet legal bike is the way to go. Hey, if it was me, I'd slap the TW200 on the back. I'm a big fan of those little bikes. Very cool. Good enough for that kind of speed on the highway. Nice big fat chunky tyres, so it's even good on the real soft ground. Yeah, they're not overpowerful, but they're super reliable and they're Japanese built as well. And they're not that expensive. Jim Haynes, blown up, sir. Doesn't look very well, does it? Mike Adams, which is more dependable? The old magneto system or the modern setup? I hear magnetos are a more expensive option, but which is better? No, I'm sorry, but the modern setup is far, far better. It's far more reliable, easy, with much less maintenance. Yeah, I would never want to go back to an old magneto system. And in all honesty, you know, I haven't really worked on that system very much. Although I do remember good old Uncle Ted, Godfather, who's passed away, unfortunately. Some of the old BSAs and Nortons and stuff that he worked on obviously had that that style system on there, and it just looked big, clunky, heavy, had brushes in it, and I think if the voltage regulator went down, there was a certain component that if it failed, the whole thing destroyed itself, which didn't really appeal to me at all. Now, things tend to evolve for a reason, and the old stator with the rectifier setup is super reliable. The only thing that can really kill them is if they overheat. A lot of them nowadays run in the engine oil, so it's very important that your engine maintains, operating temperature. So if it's liquid cooled and the cooling fan fails, that can also lead to stator damage. And in very, very extreme circumstances, and I've only ever come across 2 cases like this, where the engine has got so hot that the magnetism of the flywheel has disappeared or become so weak that the charging system didn't work. One of those bikes was a very old XT500. And the reason why in that case the flywheel got so hot is because some numbnut stripped the threads on the end of the crank and decided it'd be a great idea to weld the flywheel on. Well done, mate. Now then, so yes, sorry, Mike, stick to your the stator type, the more modern type, far better. Steve, do love a fine view of the mountains. Twin Peaks, mate. Twin Peaks. Connor K, if I remember correctly, YouTube channel Project Farm, yes, very good, has a good video demonstrating the quality and lack of indifferent priced oil filters. He does. I remember seeing. I don't think maybe I watched it. It was a long time ago. But good old Project Farm, brilliant stuff. Jim K, did you see the YouTube link I forwarded? Jim, not only did I watch that video, it's already in the system. Yes, I forwarded it on to some people that really needed to see it. Simon, take the sump off, undo the big ends, lift up the barrels and hang them out. That sounds like a very plausible way of doing it. Chris Brown, thanks for the advice, Andy. That sounds like a great place to start. Currently browsing Facebook Marketplace for one in a reasonable price range. Yeah, so just obviously, like with anything, just take into account quality as well. Don't just go for the cheapest. Chances are it's made in China, and some of the welds may not be all that good. So try and go for a reputable brand and one that comes with a decent warranty as well. And maybe something that's got a little bit more capacity and weight than what you really need, because that means it's going to be a little bit stronger. It's going to last longer. I mean, I made my own, and in all honesty, I could chuck anything on the rack that I made without any issues. So I probably over-engineered it as always, but I just use the steel I had kicking around. Man, this is a good pie. Mrs. Mechanic tells me, stop eating pies on camera. It doesn't look good. She said it's quite off-putting. But I said, hey, the lads don't mind me eating a pie on a Sunday morning. And I'm sure some of them are joining in right now. Right. So that's fine. And I've caught up again. So what else have I got to talk about? Ah, yes. Right. Hang on. I'll finish my pie first. And then I've got something for you guys where you can join in and help. And it's for Holley. So I'm quite sure some of you will be very keen to help out. It's a bit of a surprise. Here we go. Hang on. Chris Brown. Yeah, if I had a welder, I'd make one myself. But for the price of a good one, I could get the bike. Yes. Jim Haynes. Most of the older bikes that have generators can get alternator conversions that still look original. Well, that's good to know. Simon, we all love a good pie. We do all love a good pie, especially me. Jim K, nothing like a warm pie. Yeah, it's not hot anymore, that's for sure. Okay. Nearly there. One Silver Man. Oh, Bob Kinney. We love pie. We do. Wanted Man. got any tips on getting your parents to let you buy go-go juice for fun machines? Pie is gone. Okay. So, oh, and we got rid of all the pie. Excellent. I'm turning it around. Oh, look at that. That's freaky, isn't it? Very weird. Doesn't something happen to the universe when you do that? Oh, look at that. How many can we get on the screen? I've never seen this before. That's brilliant. Okay, let's move on. Okay, so guess what? Andy's designing some more leggings for Holley. She's going to the dark side. Look at this. All right. So a bit of a spoiler alert here. So what I'd like from you guys, if you can help, just going to don't cross the streams. Brilliant. What I'd like from you guys, and you might remember the original pair of leggings that I designed for Holley. Oh, and the tool girls, basically. It wasn't just Holley. I think she's the only one that worn them though so far. You know, we have these little schematics and stuff that I've used on the logos. Well, I was thinking, in fact, have I got a forge box? I have. Up there. Hang on, bear with me. Okay, so I was thinking, you know, rather than use the same schematics again, oh, pardon me, we can do something a bit different. And my original plan was to get Jared to send me the images that they use on their boxes, and I can just invert those where needed, and then they can go on, because it needs to be a black and white image, because we're going for a real, you know, just black and white. There's no other colors other than on the logo itself, the Andy Mechanic logo. So my question to you, or my offer to you, is if you would like, and it needs to be obviously be automotive type related, but it can, you know, there's a pretty wide scope here. It can be a tool, it could be you know, a picture of a speedometer, and that's one of the things that our rev counter, you know, or maybe a little cluster. Obviously, I don't think copyright matters too much, because I'm not going to be selling these. It's just a one-off pair, so I'm not too concerned about the old copyright stuff. Although no other logos want to be on there. But if you've got a black and white image of reasonably high resolution, something that's decent, or you want to if you're a good artist, you could hand draw something if you like. Basically, I need to get you know, a load of different images to go on to build up the pattern on these new leggings for Holley. So if you've got anything, or you want to contribute, time is of the essence. Unfortunately, I really want to get this finalized in the next couple of weeks latest. Please do flick something through on an email. If the background on the picture is white and the drawing is black, which is normally the case for line drawings, don't panic. I can invert it at this end. It's not a problem. But it does need to be just black and white. I mean, I can even convert to just black and white if need be, but it would be helpful if it's black and white. So yes, if there's anything you want to, you want to put forward for me to consider to go on these leggings for Holley, then feel free to send it through. And it can be as abstract as you want. I mean, Connor, it could be something from a boat. It could be what do you call that thing where you go stop, go slow? That, I don't know. Anything mechanical really. And oldie woldy, that sort of stuff will be cool. So yeah, just some thoughts, just some ideas. If you'd like to contribute, that would be a great thing for you to contribute towards. Oh, hang on. Mike Bazansky, any tips on lathe tools? How often do you have to sharpen them up? Well, the normal, I can't get it at the moment. I can go and show you though. Hang on. Let's go and do a little wander. Right, turning you around. Boom, 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 boom. So there we are. This is what I use on mine. I use these little tiny triangly tip things. See if I can get it to focus for you. Will it focus? Doesn't focus. Okay. Okay, these little triangly tip things. See if I can get my finger in there. It might focus on that. Useless. Right. And those are really, because you get 3 goes out of each one. I have them all in the cupboard, but I'd have to move all the G-clamps to get to them. So these you don't sharpen. You just use them till they go blunt. And then once all 3 bits have gone, you chuck them away. And this is the parting tool. Now this I do have to sharpen, but you get both ends. You can sharpen both ends, then you can just flick it around when you need to. Very, very useful. It's all mounted on a quick release tool post, which is very helpful. And yes, I know I'm still using the wrong-handed cutter because Ben broke my correct one. So whenever I do any machining, my tool is always on this side, not on this side, which is a bit weird on camera, but I've got used to it now, so it doesn't bother me at all. Yes, Miss March, can't go wrong, can you? Okay, I did that for Steve. Well, and the rest of you, obviously, but you know, Steve will put his head off now. Okay, let's crack on, because it must be cigarette time now. Oh, geez, all sorts going on here. Hang on. Right, so hopefully, Mike, that's answered your question. That seems, for me anyway, it seems to be about the best possible way of using, you know, obtaining bits for your lathe. That when I was at school, they weren't really around, so we used to actually have to sharpen up the bit, and then of course you could make it as narrow as you wanted or as wide as you wanted. It was a bit more, you know, it was a bit more flexibility, and you can still do that. You can still buy tool bits that you can modify yourself. Bob Kinney's lol. Bob Kinney, Andy to infinity. That was actually pretty cool, wasn't it? I enjoyed that. The delay, it kept popping up. The next shot, just getting deeper and deeper. Very cool. Jim K, don't cross the streams. I know, it's like Ghostbusters, wasn't it? Mike Adams, as far as most efficient shop setup, rumor has it Henry Ford initially hired the laziest people to set up the assembly line because they would set it up to take the least effort to do their job. What a brilliant idea, honestly. But it is, you know, ergonomics in a workshop is absolutely critical, and that's again one of the reasons why if you've got stuff on wheels, you know, roll cabs, and your toolbox is on wheels and you can actually move it around, then you can bring that to where you're working. You can bring your trolley to put all your bits on to where you're working, so you're not wandering around all the time. Mike, fired the lazy workers and brought in good workers to take their place. You see, the guy had it sussed. He knew what to do. Polecat 54941 Rabbit. Good morning, Polecat. Bob Kinney, pry bars, lol. Now then, yes. Kill switch, lol. This message is held for review by Kill Switch. Oh, here we go. Now, we could use, there's obviously a certain part of the human anatomy which is covered by the leggings. Well, I think I can say the word buttock. Or cheek, in fact. So we could, Kill Switch is saying maybe a Speedo on one cheek and a rev counter on the other. So let me know what you think about that. I was very tempted to put the old grubby handprints on there, but that's sort of, everyone does that now, don't they? There's lots of leggings out there with that kind of stuff on, so maybe we should stick to more automotive theme, but you know, really oily kind of, although they have to be in white, not black. It may not work, I don't know. Ideas are great. Simon Roll, Mike Adams, that fit in with a course. Oh, that fits in with a course we were sent on at work a few years back. 3 types of people in the workplace and how they will take shortcuts or do things by the book. It's unbelievable how many people abbreviate what's required when it comes to procedure. Mike Adams, Simon, I think I've worked with all 3 types at one time or another. I'm sure you have. We all have. Steve, fantastic views. I live in a very nice environment, Steve. Jim Haynes, carbide was invented by General Electric and was a wartime secret in World War II. Wow. Connor K. You were talking about an engine telegraph. The toughest section on that is full ahead or full astern. The happiest selection is finished with engine. FWE. Wow. I should try and get one of those. It's actually quite cool. Jim Haynes. Henry Ford wanted to control his employees' personal lives. Wow. He had an issue. He had issues in a lot of ways. Hang on. Okay. The One Superman. Just learned that McLean was made in New Zealand by Bruce McLean from a book my dad got me. What the hell is McLean? You'll have to explain to me. It doesn't tell me on here. Huh. Okay. Yeah. I need to know more information about McLean. I do. Okay, so you've all any further questions on what I need for Holley's new leggings? They want to come through in format wise. A JPEG is fine, or is it a BMP, a bitmap? If it's pure black and white, but you tend to lose resolution in bitmap, so probably a JPEG's better. The higher the resolution, the better. I'm quite happy with hand-drawn sketches as long as they're decent. And there's so many possibilities, isn't there? So many. So if you want to contribute, you can do. Now is your opportunity. And if you want to sign, if you do send something through and you've drawn it yourself, do put your little signature on there, because that will end up on there as well. So thank you for that, Connor. Appreciate the information about the ship. What did he call it? An engine telegraph. I would never have guessed that. An engine telegraph. Wow. Right. So, One Superman, you got to tell me more about Bruce McLean. Simply diagnosed. Steve, you need a heart monitor trace on one cheek with a calm down Steve written below it. Steve, send it through. It'll go on. Guarantee it. Jim Haynes, McLaren. Oh, McLaren. Okay, that's more like it. You sent me off on McLean for a second then. McLaren. Wow. Polecat. Being from Cornwall, that was a terrible accent, wasn't it? Cornwall. I would say Richard Trevithick's invention, the steam engine. Yes, we could have a bit of a steam engine schematic on there or something like that. That'd be good. The One Superman. Oops, I meant McLaren. Yeah, we got there. We got there in the end. We deciphered it. So, what else is on my list? Done that. Oh, yes. So, pretty big thing happened in New Zealand on very early Friday morning. I'm sure it's gone out on the world news. I've received a few comments already. We had some pretty big earthquakes, actually. Fortunately, they were off the coast, and the first one was, I think, 90 odd kilometers deep. So it happened up north of the North Island, off to the east in the ocean, and they were a little bit concerned about tsunamis and that kind of thing, which can usually result from an earthquake. I was actually in Wellington that night, and at around about, well, I woke up at about, I think it was 2:29 a.m. I don't know why I woke up. Everything was still, there was nothing going on. And then there was this sort of chattering noise going on. And obviously, in the room, in the hotel room, you get like a fridge and there's glasses and that kind of thing. And they were all just starting to sort of chink and chatter. And I was like, this is a bit weird. So I got out of bed, and then I could feel it. I was on the 14th floor, and the whole building was just swaying from side to side. And if you looked at it had a blind in one of the windows. The blind was down, and if you watched, the gap between the blind and the window frame was changing. And I was like, I'm half asleep. What's going on? and it went on for quite some time. It was, you know, what felt like 10 or 15 seconds easy. And it was, you know, slowly came to realize that this is an earthquake that's happening. And it was a bit unnerving, in all honesty. I don't like high-rise buildings at the best of times. And especially if there's an earthquake, then you tend to get a little bit concerned, in all honesty. To the point where I actually started to get dressed to go outside. But, you know, then decided, well, then it stopped. So I went back to bed, forgot all about it. And then listened to the news on the way to my first meeting that morning. And of course, then it became quite clear that there'd been in fact, actually, I've jumped the gun because I couldn't get back to sleep. That's right, I couldn't. I went online and I found a website, Geo something or other, for, you know, that records earthquakes in New Zealand. And sure enough, it said that there had been an 8.4 or something earthquake up north. So at least then it confirmed my suspicions. And then I went back to sleep. But yeah, listening to the news going up, there'd been a few more. There was another one that hit Wellington about 4 minutes to 9, which I would have been driving at the time, so I didn't feel that at all. But yeah, there was another one, and there was a number of quite sizable earthquakes during that day in different parts of New Zealand. But fortunately, no damage reported. I think they were all pretty far away from the coastlines. It wasn't a biggie, but it does tell us that things are starting to move around. And usually when you get one earthquake, quite often there's another one later on. And there's lots of little tremors, obviously, as well. But yeah, New Zealand seems to be in flux at the moment. I say in the moment, you know, in the last sort of couple of decades, there's been some pretty serious earthquakes going on. So once again, thanks, Jim. Jim Haynes, most McLaren cars were made in England after he moved from New Zealand. Well, thanks, Jim. I wasn't aware of any of that. I probably listened to it on a documentary at some time, but you know, I'm getting old. I forget stuff. So we've got 30 viewers and 23 thumbs up, and we're 52 minutes into the live stream. And I've pretty much... Oh, we can go back to bobbins, actually. So, these little bobbins, when they're finished, they need to be 31 millimeters long. They're already the correct OD, which was smart because I didn't want to machine them all down. So it's 20 millimeter OD, and they need a 6.5 mil hole down the middle of them, and they need all the sharp edges taken off. So I've got all the little corners, you know, the outer and the inner to very lightly chamfer as well. Then they need cleaning up to get rid of the probably laser etched text that's on the side, or I don't know, might be inkjet printed, I'm not sure. And then finally a coat of lacquer so they don't corrode. And they're little spacers for a speaker, believe it or not. And each motorcycle uses 4 of these. So you can read into what kind of motorcycles would have speakers on them. You can work that out. But yeah, got to get lots of those made up. Ideally, I'd like to make 100, but I haven't got enough material to make 100, so I'll have to make another mini batch at some point in the future. Machine NZ, hi Andy, hope you've had a good week. It's not been a bad week. I think mileage that I covered was about 1500 Ks, which wasn't massive. The biggest single journey was getting back from Wellington home. Even though the Ks isn't that high, it's about 350 from memory. It's actually quite a slow journey, especially when you get stuck behind tourists. And the roads were wet in some places, and it included Desert Road, which is quite a good little rally stage, but it's got some very, very tight corners, which can be quite greasy. And it was no exception on the way home. It was a bit slidey in places. But the old Ute's going well, it's not a problem. Although, actually, went for a service at the Ford agent in, where was it, Manukau, I think, somewhere near the airport, not too far from the airport, and went in for a service. Now, to me, a service is to prepare the vehicle for the next 15,000 kilometers before it's due another service. And part of a service, as many of you will know, will include checking the lights. And it came out with one of the number plate lights still not working, which I was like, okay, they've missed that. They also missed the fact that one of the ABS wires front left, one of the little clips had broken. So, quick fix, zip tie. I'd patched it up. I was hoping they might have spotted that and fitted the right clip again, fitted a new clip, but they didn't. But maybe that was a bit too much to ask for. One of the big issues, actually, and I hate to diss stuff, but it is something which need to be aware of. The vehicle did require new front brake pads, and there was a note made at the last service that it's going to need some soon. I'm like, soon? I says, well, soon will have to be another 15,000 Ks because it's busy. So they fitted new brake pads, and I picked the vehicle up, and there was no label, no warning. And we used to put them, I used to put them at least, with the brake pads, you get a little label in the box, and it would tell the driver not to go for any aggressive braking for the first 100 Ks or whatever, because the brakes are bedding in, and they're going to feel a little bit spongy, which is normal. Well, I knew what to expect, but I tell you what, I really had to press that brake pedal pretty hard to slow the car down and get the same kind of braking force that I was accustomed to. What was worse was only a few kilometers after picking the car up from the service, I had to hitch on the big trailer, and on the big trailer was an ROV, only one, and a couple of roll cabs and bits and pieces. So it wasn't that heavy. It was probably towing, I don't know, a couple of ton, maybe just over 2 tons was on the back. And the trailer brakes operate by sensing the retardation of the towing vehicle. Basically, it's just a plunger that pulls some cables. And if the braking of the towing vehicle is quite light, then the trailer only applies quite light braking force. It's sort of equal, And actually getting that trailer to slow up, when it was on the back of the ute, took some serious effort for the first sort of 50 or 60 Ks, to the point where if it had been a novice driver, someone that wasn't really aware, i.e. someone that was relying on that label being there, it could have been potentially dangerous. So this obviously, I am compelled, given the role that I have, to have a little chat with them and explain the errors of their ways, because, potentially it could have come back and bitten them if there'd been an accident. So, it's all about a learning curve, but something I wasn't expecting from a main franchise dealer. I would have expected them to have put the label on one of the stalks on the steering column. Mike Adams, there's always one thing that stays the same about the Earth. She's always changing and laughing at us humans when we think we intentionally or accidentally control her. Lol. We're just visitors. We're in for the ride, Mike. You're quite right. She will do whatever she wants to do, and we just need to make things right and do the best we can. Machine NZ, any progress on Ben's lathe? Well, a little tiny bit, in fact. Let me turn you around. So Ben's lathe was on the bench here, and now Ben's lathe is across the back of the bench, just here. That's it. So in reality, absolutely diddly squat. I've been away all week. I've had no chance to even look at it anymore. Yesterday, in fact, here's something else for the live stream. Yesterday, me and Mrs. Mechanic finished spraying all the brackets. So there's 100 brackets up there, all sprayed. They got sprayed last Sunday in the primer, the black primer, the matte black primer. And now, yesterday, I sprayed them all black gloss. And we had, I'm not kidding at all, we had just enough black primer. As I finished the last one, we ran out of paint. How close was that? Honestly, you don't get any luckier, do you? I actually made 113, and I did contemplate spraying all 113 and just keeping 13 back as a reserve stock. I'm very, very pleased that I didn't plan on doing that. I mean, end of the day, I suppose I would have found the error in my ways. When I got to 100 and we ran out of paint, they wouldn't have got painted anyway. But anyway, so yeah, they're all done. So they're currently curing now, and they're going to hang up there all week. I mean, the paint's dry to the touch, but it will cure over the next few days. It gets nice and warm in the workshop when the sun's out. and then they're going to get packed up, I think, on either on Monday, tomorrow, or possibly Tuesday. And then they're going back up to Auckland, and I can get rid of them, and that's it. And if I get asked to make any more, I don't think I will. They're a very, very labour-intensive thing to make, in all honesty. Yes, they had to be done, but I'm hoping that I don't have to make any more for a very long time, if ever, in all honesty. So Machine NZ, yeah, Ben's lathe, it'll get there. It's one of those sort of back burner projects. It's not critical for time. His birthday is in July, so I think I'm going to be all right. I think we'll get it done by then. Connor, are the small cylinders threaded, or are they used as standoff spacers? They are standoffs. They're not threaded. I don't have to cut any threads in them. It's just a 6.5mm hole down the middle, which is basically where a bolt goes, an M6 bolt. Machine NZ, lol. I do try. I try, but I only have so much time, and with the lathe, I don't want to get into a situation where I pull the whole thing apart and then it spends 6 months in boxes. That's not what I want to do. I want to get it, find out what bearings are in there, get the bearings ordered, get it swapped across, give it a good clean up, oil everything, adjust any tolerances, and get it out to Ben. That's where we're at with it. I don't want it to be here for ages at the end of the day. Oh, go on, Brian, try again. You've retracted your message. Maybe you've got to reword it so that YouTube like it. So, I haven't seen any comments come through about... Oh, no, I have actually. I haven't seen very many comments come through about stuff, about these images that I need for Holley's leggings. Is it something which you'd like to contribute towards, or is it one of those things that, well, hey, Andy, just get on with it. We know you'll do a good job. I'd like it to be more of a collaboration, if possible, something that's there for embedded in YouTube history forever. Plus, of course, don't forget, and Steve, I'm sure you'll understand about this, that once Holley comes into the workshop and she's got these new leggings on, obviously we'll have to do a close-up, detailed tour of all the graphics that you've contributed, and thank those that have. So that might be appealing. Holley is a great sport, she really is. So, what else is left? Well, obviously, for the rest of today, once the live stream finishes, which I don't know when that's going to be, we're only an hour and 2 minutes in, I'm going to be spending the entire day, I think, machining up those bobbins, because I'd like to take those up to Auckland when I go up there as well. Oh, Steve, consider mine done. I know you're going to lead the group there, Steve. There's no problems with that. So yeah, once the bobbins are done, I can get them up to Auckland. When I go up, I'll probably be going up, I don't know, maybe Tuesday afternoon, I think is probably going to be the most likely journey time up. I've got a call in at one of the dealers on the way up as well, collect some bits and pieces. I've got an ROV to take back, which is the one that I was going to use for the trail ride that didn't happen, so that's got to go back now. And I've got a bike. I've got Lily's DR200 to go back up to Auckland as well. Actually, I want to get a warrant of fitness on that and stuff. Kill switch. I think there should be at least one dirty handprint, maybe in a safe place, like the knee area or on the thigh. Oh, okay, that is quite conservative. All right, I'll consider that. Yes, I'm sure I can find a nice handprint. In fact, realistically, I should cover my hand in oil, shouldn't I? It should be my hand, really. Cover my hand and put it, do a print on some white paper, and then I can scan that. I'll just take a photo of it, and I can convert that to the actual print for on the leggings. Connor K, the speedo rev counter on her port and starboard aft is a good idea. I do like the way you explain things, Connor. Very good. Very maritime type. Yes. Yes, I think that would definitely work. Machine NZ, main car franchise dealers here seem to be worse than in the UK ones for finding faults that don't exist, as well as new brake pads. I'm surprised they didn't say you needed new brake discs also. I think if it had been a car, and well, in fact, one of the issues I have here in New Zealand, and it is dissipating as time goes on, but it was traditional here in New Zealand for them to often skim the brake discs to the point where on the Commodore that I had, that thing used to really cook the brakes. It was, whether it was under braked or what, I don't know, but the brake discs, if you got them really hot, you could pretty much guarantee they were going to warp, and you'd have a pulsating brake pedal until the next time it went in for another skim. The Ute doesn't have that problem at all. Maybe the brake discs are a bit more substantial, or maybe a better design or quality, I don't know. But most decent workshops would have a brake skimming machine on site. Some of the smaller workshops would get a guy to come down in a van that had the machine mounted in his van, and he would do them while the mechanic waited and was getting on with some other bits and pieces on the car. I'm not really a great fan of skimming discs, in all honesty. I think replacing them is probably the best option. One of the biggest issues is they often didn't plan ahead when they skimmed the discs, and quite often discs would go out under spec. By the time they'd skimmed them, they were actually too thin and didn't meet requirements, or manufacturer's spec, if you want to call it that. And that was exactly the case on the Commodore. They had it up on the hoist, and I complained about brake pulsations again at the pedal. Actually, really bad when they got hot. And New Zealand's full of mountains, so I do tend to drive and pick routes that are a bit more scenic, just to break the journey down a bit, you know. So there was lots of downhill hard braking, and I tended to treat a lot of them like rally stages in the Commodore. It was quite a nice car to drive. So the poor old brakes did get a pounding. But I actually went out into the workshop, and I said, you know, let's just measure up the discs. You find the spec, and then we'll ask the guy that's going to skim them, you know, how much he expects to take off them. And sure enough, they were going to skim them, but it would have meant that they were under spec. So I said, no, come on, it's time for some new discs. You can't just keep skimming them forever, you know. And after that, believe it or not, the car got sold a few months later, and I never had any more problems. Now then, so you're right, Machine NZ, some places will upsell, and if they have their own brake skimming machine, they will often recommend a skim at the same time, even before they've even looked at the discs. Kill switch, perfect thought, Andy, thank you. Jim Haynes, how much more to do on the Honda 750? Right, what's left to do on that project? I've got to put all the wiring back together in the headlight shroud. I have done my very best to label everything up. I do envisage I might be getting the odd wire in the wrong place, but I've made some notes. There's a bit of cardboard somewhere with lots of notes on it. I've taken plenty of pictures, and I've even labeled some of the wires. So fingers crossed I won't make any mistakes, but I'm sure they'll be easily rectified if I do. The whole loom now is taped and is done. So really, that's the wiring side of it finished once it's all connected back up. I was told when I first got given the bike, the carbs had been ultrasonically cleaned. Then later on down the line, I was told that I checked with the guy that did the work, and he said, no, I just cleaned the float bowls. So that's a bit different. However, it does seem to run okay, and it needs to go for a ride before we get too involved. I need to do the valve clearances. I have no idea when they were last done, so there'll be a video on that. And then finally we can get the carb balance done. And a very nice chap over in Australia sent me a digital carb balancing tool, basically, which is, I think it's down here. Hang on, let's have a look. All right, I'll take you with me, see if we can find it. I think it's in one of these drawers. Yes, there we are, look. I think it's in this box. So those that haven't yet seen it will get to see it now. Actually, there we are, look. Okay, so, haven't forgotten, if whoever's going to watch this video sent me this, it is, is there a picture? It's from Raytech Automotive, and it's called a Synchro King 4 Mark II, is basically what it is. So you've got all your vacuum pipes that go onto the carbs. We've got lots of little adapters as well that come with it, and this is the device. And you can actually damp down the signal so you can sort of stabilize it, because it's going to jump around an awful lot, so you can adjust that on there. Looks a very cool piece of kit. It did get a little bit damaged in freight, so I think one of these packets was sat on top of the screen and it's got a few little dinks, but I don't think that'll affect the operation of it. And basically it'll do up to four carbs, 4-cylinder engine, and you just plumb on your vacuum pipes on there and away you go. So very much looking forward to using that. I've only ever used the old vacuum tubes, with the mercury in the past. So this is going to be very cool to use. So I'm very happy that that's come through. I'll stick it down there, look. Stick those back in. Oh, and it runs off your battery, by the way. It's 12 volts, so that's easy enough. There we go. Something else to tidy up now. Jeez. Yeah, so that basically, once the valve clearances are done and we've done the car balance, then that bike, and some tyres to go on it, got some tyres to fit, then I can just reassemble it, put the tank in the seat, the panels back on, and it can go back to Alan. And then he's got the rigorous task, or laborious task, whichever, of getting it through cert, which is really down to him finding the paperwork of ownership and stuff for it, because he's had it 12 years, so that paperwork could be anywhere now. Yeah, it's going to be a problem. But he does have some contacts. He used to work for Honda New Zealand, so he does have some contacts in Honda, hopefully. Hopefully they're still on speaking terms, I don't know. So they should be able to help him with getting it through compliance and providing him the information he needs as well. Where are we now? Oh, golly. Hang on. Oh, golly. Loads of... Right, hang on. Just catching up. Right, so Jim, hopefully that's answered your question on that. We are getting close. It's obviously going to need an oil filter and fresh engine oil as well at some point. So there's a bit of a service kind of thing going on. But whether that'll be a video or not, I don't know. It might be a video. We'll see. Mike Adams, clothing graphics are just not my strong suit. So it's hard for me to comment either way on it. That's all right, Mike. We're not all good at everything, to be honest. John Malbrook, hey Andy, hello from northwest London. Good morning, John. Another John, Malbrook. Good job. And John, keep safe, because London's not a great place to be in at the moment, is it? Conake, what can I say? The engine room can get pretty dirty and oily. Sure can. John Malbrook, came across your channel 4 weeks back. It's cracking. I like that. It's a cracking channel. Cheers, matey. I do my best. Time has been quite lacking the last few months, to be honest. Since the start of the year, it's been a bit difficult to really get back into the swing of doing the videos. I keep getting pulled away with work, and I'm going to be in the South Island for 2 more weeks. Not next week, but the week after, and the week after that I'll be in the South Island. So I don't know if I'll do any live streams down there or not. We'll have to wait. Well, I'll do the Sunday ones, obviously, but I don't know if I'll do any sort of pub crawl ones. Maybe the odd one. We'll see. We'll see how things pan out. Machine NZ, I have a new vehicle and the main dealer wanted to change the brake fluid. I said to him that the vehicle wasn't old enough and he tested the fluid. He said no, it was something they automatically do. What the hell, really? I mean, I don't mind them automatically testing the fluid to find out what the water content is. And obviously you can do a visual inspection in the master cylinder in the reservoir and see if there's any kind of contamination. But to automatically change brake fluid whenever it comes in for a service, he's just coining it in. That's what he's doing. He's ripping people off. Mike Adams, would ceramic brakes be any better on the rotors for your use? I don't know, to be honest. I think don't ceramics take a while to warm up though? So the braking effort's quite poor from cold, but once they get to operating temperature, they're obviously a lot more powerful. I don't know. I don't have any problems with the brakes. The only issue that I had, I mean, sure, on the Commodore, yes, maybe they would have been beneficial for that because, I did give it some serious jip. And often the car was fully loaded, in fact, probably overloaded in some cases, which wouldn't have helped with the brakes either. But the the ute isn't an issue. It copes absolutely fine with everything I throw at it. Wasn't really a fan of the Ranger when I first got given it, but the vehicle really has grown on me. The only thing it lacks is a bit of performance. It doesn't have that get up and go that the Commodore had, but I have to accept that it's a different kind of vehicle. And in all honesty, if it did have the same kind of performance as the Commodore had, I would probably have got myself into a lot of trouble in many, many different occasions. I don't mean with the police, but I would have just run out of grip. The vehicle, when it's empty, especially the back end, is very, very light, and it doesn't always do what you think it should do. It's not on rails. It will slide around. If it's a really wet, rainy day and the roads are a bit greasy, then you've really got to be careful with your stopping distances. You don't want to be following cars too close, because with the mud terrain tires it's got on as well, things can get a little bit sketchy sometimes. So you've got to drive it with a bit of care and attention. The Commodore, you could pretty much just let it get on with it. It was just an amazing car. It really was. And it even towed the little trailer with an ROV on it incredibly well. Mike Adams, I meant to reduce the chance of having rotor warpage in the future. Oh, probably would have prevented that. The one Silman, sorry Andy, time for me to go. I'm hungry. I need to get some breakfast. Hey, you're a growing lad. Breakfast is by far the most important meal of the day for you. So yes, go and get some breakfast. Good job. And just flick me an email once the video is uploaded, because I'm really keen to watch that. John Melbrook, the CB750 project has been a godsend. Thank you. I've a 1975 GL1000 I've had in the garage for 15 years. Is slowly coming alive. Your bespoke ignition relay bypass has rocketed me forward. Cheers, big fella. Hey, no worries. I just thought that was a really sensible way forward of just solving a lot of problems and sort of future-proofing the bike a little bit as well. And it has. I was surprised how much of a difference to the starting the new ignition has made. It is. You couldn't ask for any better, to be honest. It really is. It's transformed the bike. I was very surprised. I still had that niggling feeling that, when I came to start it, maybe cylinder number 2 was still going to be a bit on the lazy side, but there was just no sign of that. It just fired up on all 4 straight away, and I was very impressed and extremely relieved, to be honest, because I really don't have the time to do any kind of mechanical repairs on the engine, to be honest. So thank you, John, for the feedback on that. Really appreciate it. David Moore, hi, I'm from Melbourne. Good job. Well, be safe in Melbourne. I know Australia's sort of bouncing in and out of lockdowns all the time, so keep safe, David. Bob Kinney, I agree, John. Nice seeing a classic bike rebuild. It's something that I'm really enjoying doing. I think one of the things that's been a bit of a pain is the constant stop starting. Although most of that has been down to parts supply and lack of it. We're still waiting, and I think Simon's sorting this out for me. We're still waiting for the correct connector so I can fit the new ignition switch. Obviously, that doesn't affect the current flow to the primary windings anymore because of the new ignition relay that I installed. But even so, it needs that new switch on it. I'm not going to put the old one back on, that's for sure. But once that arrives, it's only a short job to fit, and there probably will be a video on that as well, actually. The One Silverman, thanks Andy, see you soon. Hey, no problem, enjoy your breakfast. I'm assuming it's going to be a huge English breakfast with lots of bacon and black pudding and that kind of stuff. God, it makes me feel, but I'm not a black pudding fan, in all honesty. I should be, but I'm not. Brian Moore, Andy, I meant to say, your clock in your shop is 5 minutes slow. It's fast. That clock's fast. It's currently, according to the laptop, 11 minutes to 10. And in Forchland, it's 2 minutes to 10. So it's about 9 minutes fast, which I can adjust it. But it's one of these radio clocks. I did mention this a while ago, where when it gets to noon every day, it recalibrates. It's sort of the hands do do a full lap of the screen, you know, and then it seems to reset itself back to where it was before, which is still incorrect. I don't quite know how the old radio clock thing works, or where it gets a signal from, or even if it is actually getting a signal. Probably not, because it's not modifying the time. But it's not the end of the world being a few minutes fast, because it means hopefully I'm not late for my live stream. But then you start to compensate for it being fast because you know it's fast, so it doesn't really help. I should set it properly, but then I'll forget that I've set it properly, and then I'll assume that it's ahead, and I will be late to the live stream. So I'm just gonna leave it alone, in all honesty. But well spotted, good job, and it's done very well, because it's, there you go, look, it's in focus now. So it's just 1 minute to 10 now on the clock. Machine NZ, I'm off now, Andy. We'll watch the rest later. There probably won't be too much more, to be honest, but thank you very much for joining us, Machine NZ. Really appreciate it. Your sticker's still up on the cabinet. It'll be there forever. It sure will. So what's coming up this next week? Well, Monday I've got to go into Taupo, first thing Monday morning, and then the afternoon will be spent doing admin work at home. Tuesday morning, probably a bit much the same. I've got to load up the trailer and stuff, get that sorted out. I've got my ute to unload. It's full of stuff at the moment, but I won't do that until after it's probably the back end of today, to be honest. But I've got to move the big trailer to do that, so that might happen on Tuesday. I don't know. We'll see. Up to Auckland for a couple of days. Again, probably just more admin work, really. I've got to email all my meetings, email to advise of my meetings in the South Island, now that all that's been passed. So yeah, just admin, lots of admin, tons of admin work. So I'm going to be sat in front of a laptop for hours and hours and hours and hours of sorting stuff out. John Melbrook, I hope Holley's leggings will be spray on. They always are. Yes, she always asks for the really small size. Okay, well, I've pretty much exhausted what I need to talk about, really. Next weekend will be my last weekend at home before I go away. So what will I get done then? Hopefully some videos. That's the plan. I really need to get back in front of the camera and get some more work done. I can do some more on the CB750 for sure, unless some more jobs come in. I think connecting up the wiring in the headlight doesn't need to be a video. In all honesty, it doesn't want. It would be a nightmare to edit if I make mistakes. So probably won't do a video on that. I might get around to doing the valve clearance. That'd be a good one. Should get that done, actually. Get the next step done next weekend. Yes, I'll work on that. I'll put it in the schedule. I will. So, any last questions before we sign off? Not a very long live stream today. Usually about an hour and a half is what I aim for. But yeah, hey Steve, looking forward to seeing your part 2 on your pulse diagnostics. You know, I watched the whole of the first one. Very, very good. Enjoyed that. As always, live TV is a nightmare to film, but I think you did a great job considering the fact that you couldn't find one of your adapters somewhere and other bits and pieces. But it did the core information. Bang on, mate. Really, really enjoyed that. So, any more questions before we sign off? Bob Kinney, valve clearance is a brilliant idea. I think so. It's very important and often overlooked. You know, when you buy a new bike when you buy a bike and you don't know the service history, one of the first things you should do is give the thing a really good service and include the valve clearances in that. And then you know where you are with it, you know? Yes, absolutely. Okay, crew. Well, I think we're at the end. It's about time for me to start getting in front of that lathe and machining some bobbins up. Be great fun. Jim Hayes, nothing like volt drop. Nothing likes volt drop, and it also melts things with amps rise. Connor K, thanks for the birthday wishes. No problem, Connor. You've earned it. Absolutely. 1 year ago, I spent it in a pub speculating about this COVID, and currently the pubs are closed due to the COVID. There is always next year. Cheers, everyone. Very well put, Connor. I couldn't agree more. Rambo FPV. Hey, buddy. Good morning, Rambo. Steve, had to postpone today. Oh, no. Next door lost their dog. Oh, really? and it didn't seem appropriate to be outside streaming whilst they were so upset. No, fair enough. Part 2 next week. Have an awesome week, Andy. Yeah, sorry to hear about that, Steve. And you know, I don't know how I'd feel if Marmite disappeared. I mean, she's tried a couple of times to, at one of the old houses we lived at, she went missing for 3 days, and man, it was gut wrenching. Actually, you didn't realise just how much you get used to having your little dog around, and how much she means to you. No, that's really sad. It really is. Yeah, fortunately, she's still here, and she's 11 years old now. She's hanging in there. She still runs around like a puppy, to be honest. She's really good. Good fun. Okay, crew. Well, until next Sunday, 8:30 a.m. Sunday morning, I will see you then. Thank you very much for joining. If you want to support the channel, you can do that through the PayPal page or through Patreon. But, you know, another way that you can support the channel, if it's not to be monetary, is keep on viewing, obviously. But also, if you want to share one or two of the videos that you found helpful on your social media, that really helps to get people aware of the channel and the fact that it exists. Very, very helpful. Oh, Guy Martin's back in the shop. Hey, Andy, yet another good live video. Great to have you on board, Guy. Thanks for joining. Mike Adams, I just got home from my paid job. I better get off here and get onto my never-ending job list here. Been fun. Have a good one. See you on the next episode, my friends. No problem, Mike. Once a month. Hit the like. Absolutely hit the like button if you haven't done already. Steve, don't forget the thumbs up, folks. All right, crew. On that note, I'll see you around. Thanks for watching. Oh, and don't forget to send through those images for Holley's leggings. Whatever you want. Obviously, I'm going to have to vet what we put on there. But if you've got an idea, send it through. We'll see if we can put it on there for you. All right, chaps. See you around. Over and out.